Well, here we are at the end of the first day of racing here at PF International, the 2020 Motorsport UK Kartmasters British Kart Grand Prix. Myself, Henry Bodette and Chaz Draycott have been giving you all the information you need behind the microphone, behind the camera. The Alpha Live streaming crew have given you every lap of every race of the action so far. Chaz, I've been lucky enough to do this event now for 14 years. This is your first Kartmasters. What have been your impressions so far?
It's mind-blowing how quickly every race just follows another, how quickly all the guys suddenly get into heats from qualifying, and the racing itself is just non-stop. It's frantic as well, it's nose to tail all the way through, and it's been amazing to watch. And PF International, I've never been before, and it's just a hell of a circuit for racing. Like, the straight is long enough for really good slipstreaming, and there's so many hairpins, there's overtaking opportunities everywhere.
This obviously is the 25th running of Kartmasters. It's very different to any of the previous runnings. See, we're in masks, we're in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis. Trent Valley Kart Club have gone through an amazing amount of work to make sure that not only the competitors are safe on the track, but more importantly this year, that everyone is safe off the track. There are strict measures in place. However, on saying that though, the action on the track has been as good as ever. You said, I think savage was a word you described it,
yeah.
the racing as earlier, and this is just the heats. Now, each driver today has competed in a qualifying session that was 6 minutes long, and that goes past really quickly, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, before I know it, I was doing the interviews in Parc Fermé. By the time I'd finished 2 interviews and then thought, right, I need to get the results up for the next one, they were coming back into Parc Fermé again, and it was like, right, now I need to figure out who I'm interviewing, who's done what, and it was just non-stop, like I say, but it was very enjoyable though, really, really good.
Now, because this is a short event this year, normally we'd been racing on Friday and each driver would do 4 heat races. This year it's only 2, and that has meant that the racing has been even more frantic than usual in the heats. You've been surprised. A lot of people have said it's only tame, but there's been a lot of spectacular racing so far because drivers can't afford to have one bad heat.
Yeah, definitely. They have to take every chance they get. I mean, there was a moment in the final Senior X30 race at the end of the day. Danny Curl, who we all know, of course, a very talented driver, he tried to make a move into the second to last corner. Both of them went wide, and then I believe it was Harry, I can't remember his surname now, Patton, yes it was, and he came through and took it in the end, and he was very happy to take the win. But if Curl hadn't have gone for that opportunity, he would have been kicking himself for it, and that's the thing, you have to go for those chances.
Exactly. Now there are 8 classes here, 242 drivers. Each driver has now got their grid position set for the pre-final and the Grand Prix itself tomorrow. So all today is done is sorting out who's going to start where for the pre-final.
Yeah, and the racing, like you said, today's been tame compared to what we're going to see in the finals tomorrow. So I'm really excited to see how aggressive they are when they go into it.
Now, none of the classes have really come out with a clear favourite. Okay, we had Danny Curl, who won the opening Senior X30 race by the massive margin of about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But in the second race, he was pinned back, you said, and Harry Platten took the win. All the other classes, there's been different winners. There's nobody you can say that has got one hand on the GP plate trophy.
No, definitely not. And we saw a couple of times as well teams starting to work together, or what I thought was working together, until I saw them 3 wide down the back straight on the final lap in one of the heats, and it was just crazy because I was saying to them in the interviews as well, there's clearly no team orders. They can't communicate via radio or anything, so they've just got to absolutely go for it. And even if it's your teammate, you've just got to think, as long as I don't take him off, it's all right. But yeah, the whole atmosphere of everything, the drivers are all in really good spirits with it as well, and it's great to see them all back out because obviously with lockdown there's been no racing for so long, and these guys just are very happy for the opportunity to get back out on track.
Exactly, and it's like they've never been away. Now, to go through all the potential winners and all the people that have been in contention today, we'd be here till tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So the 2 cadet classes, Cadet Honda to start with, standing starts, you know, those races, I mean, those have got some of the biggest slipstreaming battles. Have you been surprised of how many? You get 36 karts in a race and 25 of them start the last lap within about 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah, I was noticing as well, because of being in the Parc Fermé, you look basically straight down the straight, and I was surprised at how many of them were darting out and making the move stick before here at turn 1. I was quite surprised by the fact that it was that strong, like you say. But the standing starts was different as well, because obviously the first heat of the day was a rolling start, and then we got the standing starts for the Honda cadets, which took me off guard, I must admit. And then it was very fun to watch though, because obviously rather than them build up the speed from a rolling start, they have to do it from a stationary, and there was a lot more mixing and dicing down here at turns 1 and 2.
Now, Ambition Motorsport have taken most of the victories in the racing. Ewan Charman in Cadet Honda has won both heats, I think.
Yes.
But Cadet Honda did see the best jump start I think I've ever seen in history, in Kartmasters history. The 2 SFR Motorsport teammates, Devon Nolan took pole, Max Cuthbert, on the outside of the front row, Max Cuthbert didn't really wait for the green light in the first race. It's an easy mistake to make. Like I said, some of the drivers are very rusty. These are the youngest drivers we've got here. It's Max's first Kartmasters, and even without the big crowds and everything, it's a big event. So you can excuse him for that one little error. But it's been a really good fight between the two SFR drivers, the 3 or 4 Ambition drivers, and the 2 drivers from London, Ralph and Timo Jungling. It's been a commentator's nightmare trying to pick out which one is which of those.
Yeah, and they're both in bright green overalls as well. And to be fair, when they're flying past around here, with the amount of bright colours that there are in the field, it is very difficult to pick them apart. But just coming back to Cuthbert's start though, I remember seeing him go down the back straight there towards the hairpin. I was thinking, how's he done that? And then I was stood next to one of the parents of one of the drivers, and he was saying, he's definitely jumped that start, he has. And it was just sort of getting used to the fact that everyone knows what's going on so quickly around these circuits, and it's part of the fantastic community that's involved with it. I think that the information travels fast, just like the karts do.
Exactly. Now we'll move on to Cadet Army, the original Kartmasters class. Of course, the first winner was Lewis Hamilton back in 1996. That race saw a bit of an incident in the second heat. So Nathan Tye, the PF plate holder, driving for Ollie Roller Motorsport, he had a coming together, battling for the lead with Macaulay Bishop at the last lap of the second heat. They've been very strong. There's a lot of Oliver Rowland drivers that are very good. Macaulay Bishop. There's several drivers from Strawberry Racing as well. Ethan Jeff Hall, who is going to be starting the pre-final from pole position. That's going to be a very, very interesting race indeed, because again, there's another 15 or 20 or so potential winners. We haven't even mentioned the Fusion drivers. We've got all this way into the Cadet Army without mentioning a Fusion Motorsport driver. There are several very good ones. Fionn McLaughlin is going to be up there as well. But that incident between Nathan Tye and Macaulay Bishop is a little bit contentious.
Yeah, definitely. And Tye and Ethan Hall have been the ones to watch for me in those as well. I was interviewing both those guys earlier on, and they're in really sort of confident moods about tomorrow. And I think that sometimes they can get a little bit overconfident and maybe go for an ambitious move, but at the end of the day, as I was saying, you have to go for those chances in the finals, don't you? So confidence is probably the best thing to take into it, really.
So, well, with both Macaulay Bishop and Nathan Tye starting a little bit further back than they would expect in the pre-final tomorrow, that's going to see it'd be interesting to see how they come forward. We'll move on to the Minimax and the Mini X30 class. Now today, this is a director's nightmare, it's a commentator's nightmare. They've amalgamated the races today, so there were 2 races going on at once. There are 20 Mini X30 drivers, just the 10 Minimax drivers. Tomorrow, they're separated. Mini X30, a great set of results. Leo Robinson, Vinnie Phillips, and Gabriel Stilp battling it out in the second race. The 2 Fusion drivers and the Mag Croc kart. But again, lots of potential winners there.
Yeah, and Stilp was really just playing a clever game, and a lot of mind games can go on in races like this because, like I've said, you have to make sure that you make it through and get a good position for the B final and the final. But Stilp was one of those drivers that just seemed to have everything under control, didn't get sort of carried away with the fights too much, and ended up getting the results that he needed.
Now, you'll have to forgive me for getting a little bit patriotic here, but I'm from Barry in South Wales.
Oh, here we go.
And for the first time in Kartmasters history, there's a driver from Barry, Harry Linden, racing here, and he's won both heats.
He did.
So for Dan Holland Racing, looking at Wales online, and the Barry Island has been closed today because there were so many people on it. I'm sure they were all just watching the live stream. Watching, of course. But I mean, Harry Linden and Mackenzie Douglas, who's from the next town over from us in Penarth, 2 first-time Kartmasters drivers driving in the biggest event they've ever driven in, and they're driving really well. Obviously, they've got good teams behind them. Harry with Dan Holland Racing and Mackenzie with Coles Racing. But of what you've seen in the Minimax class, small in numbers, but still very, very good and very competitive. I mean, those 2 drivers, well, there are a few more in the race itself, but I mean, those 2, Wales could be bringing home a Kartmasters trophy tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in the first heat, they sort of broke away a little bit and it was a bit spread out. And then the other 8 were in a complete train all the way to the end of the race, and it was fantastic. And then there was a bit of changing around in the second heat, a few more moves. I think some of the guys just getting used to who they're racing against and how they behave on track. And you could see that there were a bit more elbows out in that one, and it was very exciting to watch. But as you say, Linden, I think he will be taking a trophy home at the end of the weekend, judged on how he's done so far.
Well, he better be, because his dad will give me 20% discount in his building firm.
Do it.
So there's the mini part of the Kartmasters over and done with. Juniors, Junior Rotax and Junior X30. 2 full grids, Junior X30. That is just a fantastic race. We saw Oliver Green will have problems, and when Theo McCurris, again, both former Kartmaster champions in Cadet and Mini X30, both very strong here, but they're going to be starting at the back. And I mean, the last race today was just superb.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of contact going down at the hairpin just by us here as well, and I believe it was Alicia Barrett that got into greenall, and there was a lot of sighs in the background when I was over there at Parc Fermé. People just thinking, oh no, because he of course won the first heat as well in that class, so he's gone from the best result he could get to possibly one of the worst he could get, and it's going to affect him tomorrow.
And Freddie Spindlow as well for KR Sport, pole position. He had a problem, he was delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, again, lots of drivers coming from the back towards the front.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like I said before, elbows out, that's definitely going to be the approach tomorrow, because they need to take these opportunities when they come. And there were a lot of drivers in that were in the top 10 that were swapping around so much over the course of a race. They'd come back one lap in second place or first place, and then by the next time they come round, they'd be ninth. And it'd just be crazy how quickly it flipped on its head.
One driver I was looking out for tomorrow in X30 is Rashan Chigarimbo for Fusion Motorsport. He's been he didn't qualify that well, but he's been moving forward and making good progress, and again, staying out of most of the madness.
Yeah, avoiding the contact in that second race was the aim of the game, judging from what some of them said, and he has done a great job at that. And he's another one of those drivers that just looks in control of a situation. He doesn't get carried away, he keeps his head, and he just brings home the results.
Now, we talked about South Wales doing very well in Mini Max. In Junior Max, it's been North Wales. Matty Hingley from Abergele and Matthew Higgins from Trefagloes have been battling it out. But again, it's not just those two. There have been a whole host of others as well.
Yeah, there always seems to be these one or two standout drivers over the couple of heats that we've had, and then there's just an absolute rabble of other drivers behind them that are just biting at their heels and just trying to get any points, or obviously positions in this case, that they can. And I think that the fact that one tiny slip up could cost so much in this just shows how good these guys are at soaking up pressure.
Now, Kartmasters is usually famed for drivers who try to do the double duty.
Yes.
Every year there are a whole half a dozen drivers, sometimes even more, that try and do two classes and try and do what only Ben Barnicoat's ever done and win two different Kartmasters classes in one day. This year, with restricted entries, we haven't had that. We've only got one driver, Aaron Walker for Strawberry Racing, doing that in Junior Rotax and Junior X30. And he's done reasonably well. And of course, he's got the Strawberry Racing powerhouse behind him, so that could be, I'm not sure if he's going to win both, but he's got him the shout for one.
Yeah, definitely. He was another driver that I was speaking to afterwards, and he was really in high spirits with it because he's got so much going on. And I think some of these drivers, because they don't have the chance to sort of come down from that high of all the adrenaline and just getting on with it.
Because the races are next to each other, so he's out of one car, gets weighed, gets checked, and then goes straight onto the grid for the next race.
Yeah, well, that surprised me actually, because I was going to interview him after the Rotax race, and then he walked past me and carried on going. So I was like, "Oh, hiya, mate!" Like thinking he's coming over for an interview.
Go.
Straight through the gate, straight into the pit lane again. I was thinking, "Oh, hang on, yeah, he's doing the next race now." So it's just crazy that he obviously wants to do that as well. But it's got to be a completely honourable performance to do so well in both.
Well, it's been very hot, the track's very grippy. We're walking around here and we're sticking to the track, so it's all whether his ribs hold up to it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's a bit of a test of their rigidity, to be honest.
Yes, so on to the senior classes. Two classes to go, Senior Rotax and Senior X30. Senior Rotax first. Now, Kai Hunter and Rhys Hunter, two brothers from up the north of England, you know, their family run the Warden Law Kart circuit. Kai has just graduated the seniors, so for the first time in quite a few years, probably since their cadet days, they're on the grid together. And they've been battling out as well. Now, you know, we've had brothers race against each other, we've had brothers win, but I don't think we've ever had two sets of brothers going head to head in one class.
Yeah, they were with their teammate as well. They were actually having a three-wide battle down the back straight.
Yeah, Nelson King getting involved, yeah.
And the three of them in the interview, well, in the sort of Parc Fermé area afterwards, they were just all sort of like looking at each other like, were we meant to do that? And you could tell that they were like, we wanted to win this together as a team, because they got 1, 2, 3 in the end, which they were of course very happy with. But it was the manner and the fact that they got the battle at the end. It was very reminiscent of the whole Hamilton-Rosberg situation in Formula 1 years ago, where people were thinking, should they be battling that hard? But it was great to watch all the same, and none of them came off, so that's the main thing, and they got that great result. But Rhys Hunter did a fantastic job today. I believe he won both heats as well.
Yeah, Rhys is the older brother. He's got a bit more experience. Of course, Kai is just graduating into the class. But there's one driver we haven't mentioned yet, and we haven't mentioned him because in the second heat he got pushed wide a little bit, and that's the British champion, number 1 plate, Guy Cunnington. Strawberry Racing. He was very, very quick. He's got the package behind him. He's now starting a little bit out of position. That's the problem.
Yeah, I spoke to Guy just after qualifying. He was very happy with how he got on there, and he was excited about the fact there was going to be a fight, and he had to try and go forward, and it wasn't just going to be leading from the front, because there's a lot of pressure in both scenarios. but I know a lot of these guys would prefer to make some moves and then get to the front, so they don't have to just worry about everyone behind them. But yeah, Guy didn't really get the result he wanted in that second one, and it was a big shame because he was so confident after the first race as well. I think that he's going to have to really push on tomorrow, but he's the sort of guy that can definitely do it.
He certainly can. He doesn't wear the number 1 plate for no reason.
Exactly.
So last but by no means least, Senior X30. Now, of all the classes here this weekend, the combination of national champions, British champions, European champions, world champions, extremely experienced drivers in this event and in the world of karting, combined with a bunch of junior drivers, very top level junior drivers moving up to seniors, and 1 or 2 drivers coming back to karting after a layoff. It's been, well, it's second to none racing. Danny Curl, like we said, he walked away with it a little bit in the first race, but the driver starting alongside Danny on the front row of the grid, Blake Anglis, one of those drivers that is just starting out as a senior, found himself alongside the former world champion in the first race, took the lead, finished quite well, but at the second race, just behind us. Now, by the time the karts get to where we are at turn 1, the Senior X30 driver is doing well over 70 miles an hour. This is a one-line racetrack, especially during the first corner and on the first lap. And Blake Anglis, straight over the grass, almost hit the bridge, kept it pinned. I mean, he finished down in 18th place. That was a rude awakening for him, but the racing in the second race was spectacular. It was the only time we saw the red flag as well. Got to say, Jensen Brown, the driver that flipped out of his kart, he walked into an ambulance. We're still waiting. He's uninjured in terms of the broken bones and what have you. We're now waiting for the paramedic to clear him, to make sure that he's got medical clearance to race tomorrow. If you want, I mean, of course he'll want to.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
If it's karting, but I mean, it's never nice to see that. But obviously, the paramedics and the circuit staff here were with him very, very quickly.
Yeah, it was quite an awakening as well to see how very quickly the atmosphere died down, and everyone's concerns, rather than just being, oh no, they've stopped the race, it was, is he okay? Everyone was focused on that, and it's great because the community behind all of this has been amazing for me to witness for such a sort of great event as well. It really amplifies it, but yeah, we do hope that he is obviously okay. And it was quite a nasty shunt as well, in all honesty, and we never want to see it, but with racing this ferocious, it will happen sometimes.
And a special mention goes out to number 27, Tyler Reid, who stopped to make sure that Jensen could get out of the kart and actually lifted the kart off Jensen and made sure that he was not trapped or, you know, caught in any part of the kart before getting back in and carrying on with his own race. So a special mention to Tyler Reid, sportsmanship personified. Yeah,
definitely. And at such a young age as well, to show that sort of trait is brilliant. And it just shows that these guys really are the stars of the future with what they're doing.
So, Danny Curl, Oliver Hodgson, who else was there? Caden McQueen, Harry Platten, who won at the end, any one of another 10 or 12 drivers. David Sutton's had a great race. I'm not going to ask you to pick a winner because it's virtually impossible.
Yeah, it is.
But it's interesting, the drivers in the second race, they saw Danny Curl get away in the first race. The minute they had a chance, they would be going in him. So Danny Curl's he's almost not made a mistake by being too quick in the first race, but the drivers know the minute they're with Danny Curl, they can't follow him because he'll pull away. They've got to get in and draw him into a battle.
Yeah, he's put a bit of a target on his back with that first heat, hasn't
he? It's bad for him, but great for us watching.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the fact that he was chasing Caden McQueen so aggressively at the end, and it was him that he tried to make the move on into the left-hander, put them both offline, and then Harry Platten just went, oh, thank you very much, 2 freebies, and took the heat win. But to be fair, that first performance was very impressive by Danny Curl, and it's what we've come to expect from him. But like you say, he's definitely going to be under pressure now because the guys know not to let him open that gap. And Caden McQueen had a similar gap in that race, but it just looked like he had a few moments into the hairpins, a little bit wide, maybe a bit too aggressive going in, and that gap soon disappeared. But I think that Curl's probably the one to watch tomorrow, but whether the guys go completely all out on him or not will be yet to be seen.
Well, tomorrow morning we'll be on air here with Alpha Live at Trent Valley Kart Club, Paul Fletcher International Circuit from 9:20 in the morning. The pre-finals start at 9:30 and then the Grand Prix themselves start at 1 o'clock. That's the brief rundown of the day. You can go back and look at the Alpha Live website, the Alpha Live YouTube channel, the Trent Valley Kart Club website, the Trent Valley Kart Club YouTube channel to recap all the day's racing here today. It's well worth sitting down of a Saturday night and looking at some of the spectacular action. If you've missed it today, if you've been out and about or at another event, please have a look at it. And then tomorrow morning, it all starts again for the finals. You're going to be in the pit lane, interviewing the drivers, getting as much flavour and trying to encapsulate the tension and the excitement of this event. I'll be bringing you all the race from the commentary box. Alpha Live will bring you every lap of every race. We've got the biggest crews here I think we've ever had.
Yeah.
So all angles are covered. please stay tuned tomorrow and watch the 2020 Kartmasters Grand Prix. You will not find better racing, kart racing, in the country anywhere else.
Definitely not. And yeah, make sure you do tune in tomorrow, everybody, because like I've been told, today was tame in comparison, and I cannot wait to see it. So I'm sure as well, anyone that has watched today will already have the alarm set. They will be ready and focused on what's going on tomorrow. And the drivers especially as well, they've all really enjoyed it today. I think that they're going to be properly on the ball tomorrow.
Well, there you have it. Thanks for watching today. Stay tuned tomorrow. We're going to go racing at only Kartmasters can.